Welcome back to Trail Rated. I'm your host, Steve Mitchell, and this is actually a reshoot of an intro that I did the other day, and I kind of misspoke. I didn't want to put that out there. My comment that I was misspeaking about was that Henry James is disconnected. What I meant by that was if you're a junior high school student in Terriffill, part of Simsbury, it's really dangerous for you to ride your bike or to walk to school. It would be not well advised, shall we say. With the aspect of the trail, East Coast Greenway, coming to the Terriffill section, right on, all right, we got a rider going by. And what the future is about with trails and bicycle-friendly community is about the connectability to your schools, to your town centers, so that everyone can have equal access to non-motorized transportation. Sounds funny coming from a car dealer, I know, but that's what it's all about. And today is also the Farmington Valley Trails Council Clean Up the Trail Day. So there's over 200 volunteers, which we'll interview a few. But before we get to that, I saw something the other day I haven't seen in a while, and many of you don't know who I'm talking about. And I'm sure many of you have partied to his music. But he also became a huge bicycle advocate. His name is David Byrne. You're going to have to Google or Wikipedia him because you'll be surprised at the band that he was the frontman for. But anyway, this is a little piece that he did called Ode to the Bicyclist. So tell me how did today go, Rich?
It went very well. We had an absolutely beautiful day for the Farmington Valley Trails Council cleanup. We had scheduled 150 volunteers, but at Simsbury alone, we had over 75 people. So I'm fairly certain with all the 5 staging areas, we probably had over 200 people. And right here, I think we have about 4 cubic yards of trash that's been picked up. And everyone has manicured the trails. They look great, and they'll be available for everybody to use as the good weather starts in now in the spring.
So, as I come up with these theories, yeah, sure, just ride your bike from Terriffill to Henry James. So, yeah, I say these things, and then, you know what? Sometimes I have to monitor my own little BS meter, and how does that work in reality? So, I've decided to come right here to the little triangle up here at the top of the hill in Terriffill, and I'm going to time and get the mileage on exactly what that would look like if I were a junior high school student and I wanted to ride my bike from Terriffill to Henry James. So let's go. So the answer is 19 minutes and 40 seconds, and it was 3.7 miles from Terriffill, from the top of the hill, to Henry James School right here. So what I tried to do is I tried to go as smooth as possible, and actually part of that, about a half a mile and a quarter mile, was walking from the town hall to Central School. A little secret, maybe you don't know about, but a lot of people don't know that there's a pathway to go from what was Belden School, we now call it town offices, to Central School. Those were 2 elementary schools when I was a kid. But anyway, the methodology I tried to use was that I didn't want to sweat. I wanted to go kind of at a moderate pace, and it's about a 20-minute ride from Terriffill to Henry James. A lot of times people ask me, where does this East Coast Greenway thing go? That's that trail that goes from New Haven to Northampton. Well, you're actually pretty much right, but it actually goes from Key West, Florida to Canada. And this section is the end of it, really, in Simsbury, at the intersection of Route 10 and Route 315, right here in Simsbury, right near this trailhead, you'll see the East Coast Greenway designation, and this really marks the end of it, the northernmost terminus, if you will, from the section that goes from New Haven to Hartford. The next frontier will be getting from Simsbury through Terriffill to Bloomfield, by University of Hartford, and then into downtown Hartford. The interesting fact about the East Coast Greenway is it will go 2,900 miles from Key West, Florida to Canada, but very few people are ever going to do that. What is really, to me, one of the most interesting aspects about the trail is that each city it goes through, it will become a commuter route. So not only are we using this East Coast Greenway, this rail trail, this greenway, for recreation, but also it serves as a point of commutation in everyday life, as it is in Washington, D.C., as it is in New York City right now. So join us in this journey as we go from Simsbury into Hartford, and I will kind of give you the highlights tour of how it's going to go from Simsbury to Hartford. It's, well, we're going to clock it, but my guess is it's about 10 miles, and someday you'll be able to ride a bike safely to downtown Hartford. One thing that I am a huge advocate of is doing things that make sense. When you come off Route 10 to Route 315, which we're on right now, you'll go over the Farmington River. What they've done when they built this bridge across the river is, as you can see, they put the sidewalk right there. So if you want that option of going on a sidewalk, that is already there. And as we go in, I am a huge advocate for putting this greenway in and having it as separate as much as possible from traffic. However, common sense, I think, should prevail and doing the best bang for the buck. Yeah, as we come up the hill into Terriffill, we just went past Curtis Park, and we come up the hill into Terriffill, you'll probably recognize this little hut right along Route 315. And basically the path would pass this little hut and go into what's Governor's Bridge. Yeah, here we are in Governor's Bridge, and you know, this is where the trail, very likely it's going to come through here in some way, shape, or form. The situation that I'm perhaps most in favor of, even if I lived here, is that the trail would go similar to what it does in Collinsville, where it goes over the bridge into Burlington and then kind of empties out onto a little neighborhood road there for about a half a mile. And that's about the same distance as this section. It's already there here. It's already paved. It's kind of a neighborhood road. It's very low usage. And then it could connect to Terriffill Park. And that's this section. Okay, so we're actually about 2 miles from where we originally started from the intersection of Route 10 and Route 315. We've gone along 315 and gone up slightly through Governor's Bridge. You're actually going to cut a lot of that hill out because you're kind of following the Farmington River, and then you're going to come down through Terriffill Park, and you're going to come right down Main Street here in Terriffill. And then from here, you're going to follow 189 to Bloomfield to the Griffin line. And again, as I've always said, I'm a big advocate of the rails to trails. I'm also a big advocate of making sense and doing things that make sense. Kind of doing this, but in a fiscally responsible way. We don't need to be building bridges just to be separate. We don't need to be blowing through rock that we don't really need to do now. So taking this path along Route 189 and going with a greenway about 12 feet wide between the road and the rock, as opposed to a rock and a hard place, never mind. Gotta have a little fun when I'm doing this. At any rate, that would be a good way to get the greenway through here without incurring expense of, hello officer, of more blasting or anything like that. And it would be a responsible way to do it. It would be a relatively quick way to do it because it's already blasted. All you got to do is pave it right here, and it would still be separated from the road. So now we're about 3.5 miles into our journey from Route 10 in Simsbury. We've gone through Terriffill, Governor's Bridge. We've gone down 189. We are now at kind of the intersection of Day Hill Road, right on the Griffin line in technically Windsor. About 100 yards over to my left is Bloomfield, but right along the Griffin line, this is where the engineering study that was done by the Rails to Trails Conservancy actually started. And there's many instances around the country. This is a quote-unquote active rail line. They use it, I think, at least once a week, bare minimum, to keep it active rail. I'm not exactly sure what it serves or what purpose it really serves. I think it's something about Home Depot and something. I've never really seen anybody on the line. I've never seen it in use myself, but maybe once. But at any rate, so there's certainly, this line is already here. They could easily put a trail alongside this. As a matter of fact, it's been somewhat engineered for that to happen from here to the University of Hartford. We'll make a couple stops along the way, but keep following along with us on greenway.org, on the East Coast Greenway site, on the Google Maps. You can see where this is going to go down the Griffin line into Hartford. It just reminds me again of the importance of what we're up to, because the Rails to Trails and the Greenways bring back a vibrance to each community that it goes through. Just look at what Collinsville was many years ago when Miner Lumber moved out of Collinsville. There was no railroad. Collinsville Axe was long gone. And just think of Collinsville today in the summertime. You can't get a seat in LaSalle Market. The town is vibrant. It's just moving with people. You know, along this line here in Bloomfield, it's dormant. It's dead. The Rails to Trails coming from Simsbury through Hartford would go right through here, and it would add so much vibrance to this community. As we wander down the potential path of the Greenway, this is where the Greenway would potentially cross near Prospect and Park. You can see the amazing plaza right up the street there, and we're going to pan back a little bit and go. That's the view from Park to the north, and I'm going to give you a view to the south. Hang on. And there's the railroad tracks right now, but soon to be rail trail, hopefully, as it makes its way down to Cottage Grove Road. And again, we're about 6 miles into the trip from Simsbury right now. Many of you out there probably can relate to where I am right now. I'm at the corner of Cottage Grove Road and Savin Road over in Bloomfield, where the railroad passes over Cottage Grove Road. And right now we're about 7 miles into the journey from Route 10, 315 in Simsbury. And this would be the view from Cottage Grove Road, looking to the south, looking towards University of Hartford. As we have made our way from Simsbury into Hartford, we are now at the University of Hartford, and we've seen enough train tracks. And yeah, again, I started this journey at about 3 o'clock on a Sunday in the end of January. I'm hoping to make it to Founders Bridge in Hartford before sunset, so it's about 15 minutes away. But at any rate, so the train tracks will go behind the University of Hartford. They do. The Greenway will hopefully go parallel to the train tracks behind the University of Hartford. This is where it gets a little wonky, if you will. Exactly how it's going to go from the University of Hartford through Hartford to the Founders Bridge, Bushnell Park, the Founders Bridge. That is, shall we say, to be determined exactly how that's going to work. That's for the engineers and for the Department of Transportation to work out. Hopefully that will become an issue in the near future. Hopefully this year, 2012, at least a clear route will be delineated and mapped out. So that would be definitely my goal for this year, is at least that we have a clear route from Simsbury to Hartford for the East Coast Greenway. As the sun is setting here in Hartford, I'm actually on the East Hartford side of the Connecticut River on the Founders Bridge. You know, what is the future of Hartford? What will become of Hartford? I believe it was April 13th, 1997. My friend Kevin Deneen scored the last goal as a Hartford Whalers. The Whalers went south. What's happened in those past 15 years since the Whalers moved down to Carolina, it really hasn't been a good thing for Hartford, and Hartford does need something. And I assert that Hartford becoming a bicycle-friendly community, such as Portland, Oregon, such as Seattle, Washington, such as Burlington, Vermont, such as Boston, Massachusetts, has become a bicycle-friendly community, according to the League of American Cyclists. I would strongly urge Hartford to do the same, and to have the East Coast Greenway go from Simsbury through Hartford to Manchester would certainly open up not only an avenue of recreation, but an avenue of transportation, a way to get into Hartford and commute to Hartford from the suburbs, and it would be a huge asset for the city. The Greenway enhances every community that it goes through, period. I have been on the East Coast Greenway from Calais, Maine. I have been down to Key West, Florida. I have seen what the East Coast Greenway has done in other communities. It's wonderful. So that's the story on the East Coast Greenway and the importance of getting the East Coast Greenway from Simsbury through Terriffill, Bloomfield, and on into Hartford. Changing gears a little bit, you know, innovation is constantly going on. Just March 30th of this year, Volvo announced a really interesting product for bicycle safety. It's called Life Paint. In 2 weeks, they had 4 million hits on YouTube. So the next segment is on Volvo Life Paint. It's a really unique product. Hopefully will save a lot of lives.
Nearly every day something almost happens. You've kind of got to be able to second guess the taxi in front of you or the pedestrians coming up.
I end up getting nearly hit at least once a day.
The young driver lost concentration and hit me from behind. I was extremely lucky that day. The doctor said that 95% of people that would have sustained those injuries would have been killed by them.
We're on roads that were built really 100 years ago for far less traffic.
In terms of cycling at night, I feel way less visible. Sometimes I choose not to cycle home at night. It's a lot more dangerous.
Life Paint is a unique spray, different to other reflective products on the market. When you apply it to the surface, the reflective particles will stick together with a special adhesive, making the spray invisible by day, but light up at night in the glare of headlights.
Volvo is renowned for its safety innovations. Life Paint takes the principles of our 20/20 vision, protecting passengers inside the car to protect those outside too.
I think you've just got to be as visible as you can, and that's the good thing about Life Paint, is it makes it very hard for you to be missed.
putting something on that will make you scream out to drivers like me is a fantastic thing.
I think cycle safety in London is not all about bicycles, it's about cars, it's about pedestrians, it's about sharing the road with other users. So it's great that a car brand has got involved to essentially help cyclists and help drivers in the end save lives.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.